start off being perfectly honest. I'm tired. This is the 7th meeting Lou and I have done in 4 days, and it's even more tiring for me because every day I'm talking about the things that keep me awake at night. The fact that I know because of the actions myself and my friends took while we were in Iraq, innocent civilians died. The people you saw were killed because of my actions. And there's thousands of other American and British troops who are dealing with the exact same thing. I lay awake at night because I know if I go to sleep, I'll have nightmares of Iraqi children whose lives have been shattered. I think about my friends, like Skeldon, who I served for 3.5 years with, who literally had a lieutenant fall into his arms, and when he took off the lieutenant's helmet, just right there, right into his lap. Rob Serra, who watched one of his Marines bleed to death in front of him after being shot in the back by a sniper, and knowing that Marine's life could have been saved if Bush's administration would have cared enough to make sure they were properly equipped with the body armor that would have saved his life. And then Rob went on at a roadside checkpoint because they didn't know enough about Iraqi culture to know how to properly stop a car. They opened fire on a car, and then a woman fell out with a white flag. Or Jimmy Massey when he was in Iraq. And because one person got a little too tense, his entire platoon opened up on a nonviolent demonstration. And when Jimmy and his platoon commander went out and checked that demonstration, they found not a single weapon. Over 20 Iraqis were killed and many other wounded, and he was one of the people who opened fire. Those things will haunt us until our dying day. And because we want not another person to go through this, because we do not want to see another Iraqi die in a needless war over oil, we formed Iraq Veterans Against the War to make sure that these things do not continue and they do not happen again. Unfortunately, this is a repeat action for the United States. We remember all too well what happened in Vietnam. I've learned that all too well because, unfortunately but luckily for myself, there were hundreds, if not thousands, of Vietnam veterans who were willing to take me in and teach me the lessons they learned from their war. Veterans who saw the exact same horror that myself and my friends have experienced, who still carry those things with them to this day. But in their war, they made a promise that one generation of veterans would never abandon another generation like they've been abandoned, and they have stuck to that promise. They have taught me everything they know about organizing within the military, about organizing veterans, about how to stand by your fellow veteran when they need you the most. And the things they did in Vietnam are just so significant and incredible. They fought back from not only outside the military, but from within the military against an unjust, immoral, and illegal war. Things I would never imagine. And it goes beyond the things that have been glorified in movies like fragging, which is the killing of senior officers and NCOs. I'm talking about non-violent direct action against a war from within the military. Many units would simply refuse orders, and they would force their commanding officers to actually negotiate with them. And it has been written by the military that once this happens, that commander is no longer effective and needs to leave that unit. That happened over and over and over again. There's a little known fact that there was an Army artillery battery, the same kind of unit I came from in the Marine Corps, that declared peace. They actually declared peace from their fire base and let newsletters out to all the Viet Cong in the area saying, "We have given up, we are no longer fighting." If you go into the congressional record, their peace declaration is in the United States congressional record. They sent it to many representatives, and one of them was brave enough to read it on the House floor and made it part of this. And it can happen again. These are human beings in this military. There's the term citizen soldier. Just because we join the military does not mean we give up our citizenship. If anything else, we have even more of a right to citizenship than most. And citizenship is a right guaranteed to everyone. We have the right to speak up. We have the right to voice our opinions. Just today, there was a couple of British soldiers recruited over by the square. And I stopped and talked to them. I talked to them, and there was a corporal there. And I realized a corporal is a major thing in the British military. Very important position. And he told me in front of his troops, this war is wrong. We should not be there. This is not worth our lives. And right now there's a very important thing that's going to be happening in Britain and Scotland. Scotland's own Black Watch is returning. And they have had a horrible time there. Beyond the loss of Rose General's son Gordon, just in Fallujah, 5 Black Watch members were killed for nothing more than political gain. They were sent there. 800 were sent there to reinforce thousands of Americans. They were unneeded. They did not enter the city of Fallujah. They sat outside the city of Fallujah and were shelled every single night, and it cost them the lives of 5 of their own for political gain, so Bush could stand in front of myself and the rest of the American people and say, look, the British are with us there, and that's why we need you. Yeah. We need you to withdraw your forces now, to remove our international support and put Bush on the hot seat. That is what we need, and the way to do that is to help your military organize. We will help you do it. There are groups here that can help you do it. In the Vietnam War, it's not talked about a lot, but the Quakers were a driving force in that movement. They opened up their meeting houses. They helped them. They gave them a place to eat, a place away from the military where they could discuss and learn these new ideas. And I guarantee you, the Quakers in America who are well versed in these things would be eager to help their comrades across the Atlantic. I come from a strong anti-war veterans movement in the United States. My own group, Iraq Veterans Against the War, we started with 8 members at the end of July and now number easily over 100. That is without any major media attention. That is just simply word of the mouth and through groups like Military Families Speak Out, which Lou was representing. And we're growing. Every single day we get more members. Members that are serving in Iraq right now who realize what is going on. Just the other week I received a terribly disheartening letter, and it was a short letter. On my way to Fallujah. Hopefully I'll talk to you next week. But those members are important. They are telling us the truth about what's going on over there. But they need a strong anti-war movement outside the military. What made the military resistance within Vietnam possible was the fact that there were millions of people supporting those who spoke out. It is impossible for someone to do something as unpopular in the military as speak out if he's alone, if there's no one there to back them up. You need to be there to back them up. They will need your help, and they will need a kind ear, because when they come home, you have to remember that they have seen horrible things, abhorrent things that no human being should ever have to deal with. The things myself and my friends have nightmares about. And they need a kind ear. I found that with Veterans for Peace. They could very well have saved my life. You need to be there for them. I know from talking to several other British veterans that the British veterans care system is horrible. When someone comes back with combat stress, you call it here post-traumatic stress disorder in the United States, they send them to a doctor that they have to call sir. That is the last thing you want to do after being through something like the war in Iraq. You need to be there for them. Find counselors, psychologists that are friendly to what's going on here. Enlist their aid. Have them teach you how to talk to them, how to deal with them, because they will need it, and they will need it desperately. One of the scariest numbers that came out of the Vietnam War is that twice as many Vietnam veterans have committed suicide than died in Vietnam. And from what I know, the numbers are incredibly similar from the Falklands War. And this war can be even worse, because many of those who were injured in combat would have died in those previous wars. But they're coming home with horrible physical scars and even worse mental scars. So even though we say support the troops, bring them home, it goes beyond that. Bring them home, take care of them, help them build themselves up. Because one of the most important parts of building a lasting peace movement is building a veterans peace movement. Because no one can speak of the horrors of war better than those who have experienced it.